Hello, you're watching my video series again. Well, the only reason I can think of for that is because watching this improves your day, in which case, I'm really glad I could improve your day. Well, let's take a look at the situation. The situation is there's an AFW with no legs next to Cansado, and there are still squads there. I'm gonna fix one of those things. I've been doing a little bit of thinking on why medic squads are so much more annoying when the enemy uses it than they are effective when I use them. And the best explanation I can think of is medics are there to slow the fight down. They're there to prevent damage and not really to cause it. Now, the player's side, and my strategy in particular, requires me to have battles that end quickly. In my favor, of course, but the key is that whatever my goal is in a battle gets accomplished and fast. And medics tend to prevent that sort of thing. Therefore, they're kind of a problem regardless of which side they're on, which annoys me greatly. Also, you noticed, of course, that I used suppressive shot there. Now, I'm still kind of learning when to best use maximum attacks like that. And I think, after looking at this result, that it's probably better for me to use spray fire when the enemy is tough, like there's medics on the right side, and suppressive fire when they're more fragile, so that my soldiers can finish them off before they even have a chance to move. Because it's pretty clear that if I had done spray fire instead of suppress fire, my start of round burst would have been enough to finish off their medics immediately, which is ideal, of course. And there would have been no problems. Aside from being shot at, but, well, who cares about that? Well, that finishes that little operation. Time to back off. The enemy is, well, I was about to say they're free to try to chase me, but they're really not. And the enemy is set up to fire. Should I use dodge action? Well, I'm not really in their optimal range, so things should be fine. Things are not fine. Oh well. I mean, I can't say that was unfair. They were able to get off an illumination shot. So now I have kind of a better plan of operations for Cansado, which is if there's tough squads like a pairing of infantry and medics, I use a spray fire. If there are more fragile squads with really wicked, dangerous skills, I'll use suppressive fire. And if they don't have either of those two things, I can use a dodge action. That should work reasonably well. But what about running out of maximum attacks? Well, that hasn't actually happened very often. So, we're gonna have a different situation from last time. We're not getting in any of those mechanic wars of attrition. We're just gonna walk up and punch, which is more of Ippei's plan of battle. I'd say it worked out. It was a little bit of a close call, but it worked out. Though if I was, say, 5 points of damage off and the enemy was left with 2 health, they would probably not attack. Now this long-range attack makes some sense, because there's stuff in the way and, well, actually it still would have been better for them to attack from a diagonal, because then maybe their foreleg could have moved and attacked from long range and it would have been better for them overall. That's not to say that this system of movement would have made me happy personally, it's just a matter of proper tactics. Alright, so this is long range, which is not their forte. I have smoke shot on them, so I believe they have illumination shot, but even so, it's gonna be tough for them to hit me. Well, they did spend 10 seconds aiming, so I suspect that if I spent that long aiming, I probably could have hit regardless of what the circumstances were. So what do we got here? We have a situation, is what we got. Finally! I've been telling myself to recover for Jun's last 3 or 4 turns. So, after that squad killing battle with Kinsado, I'd say that anti-AFW is just about ready for a finishing off from Ryoko. Now, I do need to plan. Ideally, I want Emilio to move forward and finish off that foreleg before they can move in and attack Kinsado, because that could be bad. And since most of this stuff is beyond scouting, due to it being nighttime, I can't quite be sure of that. However, it has been a while since Emilio moved, so there's at least a good chance of it. And I definitely don't want to give that anti-AFW time to recover and repair its legs, so yeah, it seems like a good time for action! Action! Action? Well, to be fair, it is nighttime, and illumination shot would be handy for finishing them off. But I mostly plan to punch them after weakening them a slight amount, so I should be I should be okay regardless of how things go. I'm not really sure why I took my time in moving my squads forward. It's not like the enemy is going to run away. Okay, at first that shot looked a little bit off, but apparently that sloped armor didn't bother my shell at all. I kinda wish that Ryoko got a aim weapon instead of check fire, but it does fit her pseudo anti-AFW theme more, I guess. And I can't argue with the utility of Rapid Punch, because we get results like this. I'm not even sure I needed to shoot them first. Well, the north side of things are looking good. And on the south side, we have yet to see. I'm not sure that I like Ippei getting into a punching battle in his current state, though. The good news is that one just moved, so I should have plenty of time to pull Ippei back. And here we go. Now, last time we gave that foreleg a normal punch and did almost half its life. Or durability, whatever you want to call it. Now, it feels okay. Destroying it without removing its squads first feels a bit lacking in something. Like, I don't get full experience out of it, and it just... I prefer to do a thorough job with this sort of thing. On the other hand, we do have practical concerns. Both Ryoko and Jun are low on durability. So this is really not a good time for me to take chances. Also, this way Amelia will be able to move forward and take that village quite quickly. Normally I'd be worried about the enemy having a heat shell and when I'm at extremely close range. However, even when the enemy is not a foreleg, I can usually reach them before they load a shell. So this is usually not a problem. Now what I find hilarious about that is, I'm fairly sure that Emilio is not really supposed to have a good grasp on Japanese. However, the overall translation of this game has not been great, so I can't be sure that it was an intentional misgrammaring of the sentence. Woohoo! That's pretty impressive. That was not a big increase in aim correction. I guess I shouldn't expect that from an anti-AFW pilot, but since I expect to have him shoot at least a few times as things progress, I'll need to keep my expectations under control. What I'm guessing is going to happen is that the enemy is going to advance. I'll have Ayana move to the lookout where she can attack almost anything. And things will be great. There will be no problems ever. Those friendly lookouts are extremely helpful though, just because they are good terrain that gives me my next turn quickly in the middle of a bunch of mountains. Well, that was a pretty good recovery, but I still don't expect Ipe to do a whole lot for the rest of the map. Most important here is that I remove that recon squad, because if they get damaged but don't die or get completely wiped out, they will get loaded into crew and they will fire ink shrap. I wish I had recon with ink shrap. He spent so much time turning around that he got smoke shot. Why was he not facing the enemy before, though? So I really hope I can throw out better punches than that, because, well, I'd say that my infantry is probably good enough to finish off their medics. Which would mean that the recon are very likely to get loaded in if I don't handle this right. It's actually good for me that the medics were pulled back, because now that everything can focus on the recon, there should be no problem. Like that. Thank you, Hyper Morale. You take forever as a skill animation, but not having my squads die is very useful. Okay, wow, that is some cleanup. And the good news is that this particular medic squad doesn't have anything particularly good for special shells. Oh, never mind. From that angle, there's stuff in the way of me shooting their squads. So I'm not going to deal any more damage to them in this encounter. I wish I could take a look at something like that before preparing the shot, but not much I can do about that. Overall, cannot complain too much about that result. As much as I like the experiment with medics in my squad for a change, I cannot justify its effectiveness. Cansado is getting something else next map. Well, just in case the enemy tries something tricky, might as well have a unit in the way of losing the match. Or the match? Whatever. Been watching too many one-on-one fighting games. Losing the mission. Failing the mission. Whatever. So who will be good at finishing this enemy off? I'm gonna wager Ryoko can do it because it'll be daytime, she's pretty good at mid-range shootouts or close-range finishes. In fact, I think the latter will be better with her squad setup. That's another reason that she's kind of tricky to use in this role. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love double mechanics at short range. It is one of the most enjoyable strategies for me. And wow, they must really love that smoke shot. Well, considering that my goal is to finish the enemy off in this battle, and they're not going to finish me off, I can't really fault their decision. In this case, with the enemy's armor, I probably do need to land a shot. And there we go. With that and a couple of grenades, I should be ready to rapid punch him. Well, maybe a couple more grenades, just to be sure. We don't want another one of those incidents where the enemy survives with 3 health or so. Ooh. Normally I'd worry about that. However, this is the last enemy on this side of the map, so I don't really foresee any emergencies. Ooh, Ryoko has been throwing a lot of knockout punches. It's almost enough to make me not regret putting her in a knockout squad setup this time. Although, I still think that the map would have gone a bit smoother overall if she was a squad remover. And maybe John was the, I don't know, rocket launcher build. Well, people who are not content with the way North Japan is headed, kill them! Now, moving one squad forward to avoid taking full damage from rapid fire is not bad. Also, I should have spent more time aiming, because now I'm going to take a poorly timed flash shot. Ooh, I think I still prefer that to them shooting me in the AFW, though. That cannon has some serious power behind it. Ouch. Jeez. And another well-timed flash shot on their part. I did not see that coming. What I can see coming is, at this range, when they set up to shoot at my AFW. I'm glad they aren't using special shells, though. That is the most annoying stuff. I am seriously surprised that they pulled neither of their squads back. Usually they're a little bit better about saving their low health squads. I mean, I guess I won't complain. They must have felt that moving back into optimum range was more important. Right on the buzzer. It didn't make a huge difference, but I can have small victories. And I think that concludes the video. I hope you've been enjoying this. I certainly have. And we will see you next time. Hopefully that one will also improve your day.